Life can feel heavy at times, like an invisible load pressing down on your shoulders, built from past regrets, unresolved arguments, and constant worries about what lies ahead. That weight drains your energy and quietly follows you everywhere. Most people carry it without even realizing how tightly they're holding on, replaying painful moments again and again long after they're over. But what if there were a way to finally set that burden down? Today, let us explore a simple yet deeply meaningful story from Zen philosophy, the story of two monks and a river, that has the power to transform how you understand letting go. And no, it's not about erasing the past or pretending nothing happened. It's about something far more freeing. So take a deep breath, settle in, and step into a lesson that just might change the way you carry your life. The story begins with two Zen monks, an older master named Tanzan and a younger novice named Ekido, walking together on a long journey. They had been walking for hours, mostly in silence, as was their custom. The path they were on was muddy and difficult from a recent heavy rain. As they approached a river, they saw that the bridge had been washed away. The water was flowing swiftly, but it wasn't too deep to cross. There, by the riverbank, stood a beautiful young woman in a fine silk kimono. She was clearly distressed, looking at the rushing water, unable to cross without ruining her expensive clothes and likely being swept away. She looked at the monks with hopeful eyes as they approached. The younger monk, Ekido, was a very strict follower of the monastic rules. He knew that monks were forbidden from touching women or even looking at them for too long to avoid impure thoughts. He averted his gaze, walked past the woman, and began to carefully make his way across the river, pretending he didn't even see her. He expected his master, Tanzan, to do the same. After all, Tanzan was the master, the one who should be the ultimate example of discipline and adherence to the sacred rules. But Tanzan did something completely unexpected. He walked right up to the woman, smiled kindly and asked, "Are you trying to cross?" The woman nodded, her voice trembling slightly as she explained her predicament. Without a moment's hesitation, Tanzan bent down, scooped the young woman up into his arms, and carried her across the swift-moving river. He gently set her down on the other side. The woman, overwhelmed with gratitude, bowed deeply and said, "Thank you, kind monk. Thank you so much." Tanzan simply nodded with a warm smile and continued on his journey. Ekido, who had watched this whole scene from the other side in stunned silence, was absolutely scandalized. He couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. His master, a revered Zen master, had not only touched a woman, but had carried her in his arms. Ekido quickly caught up with Tanzan, his mind racing. He was bursting with judgment and questions. How could his master do such a thing? It was a flagrant violation of their most sacred precepts. He wanted to scream, to demand an explanation, but he said nothing. He just walked alongside his master, fuming in silence. Every step he took, the image replayed in his head. Tanzan holding the woman, the river, the smile. His anger and confusion grew heavier and heavier with each passing mile. He thought about the rules, about purity, about the example a master should set. He judged Tanzan for his actions and judged the woman for her presence. For the rest of the day, the two monks walked on. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the path. Hours passed. Mile after mile, Ekido carried this mental burden. The silence between them was no longer peaceful. It was thick with Ekido's unspoken resentment. He was no longer present on the journey. He wasn't noticing the birds, the trees, or the changing colors of the sky. His entire world had shrunk down to this one incident, this one perceived transgression. He was carrying the woman, the river, and his own indignation all the way from the riverbank. Finally, as they approached the temple where they would spend the night, Ekido couldn't bear it any longer. His internal turmoil erupted. He stopped, turned to his master and blurted out, "Master, I have to ask. We monks are not supposed to go near women. It is a strict rule. Why did you carry that woman across the river?" His voice was filled with accusation and a sense of self-righteousness. Tanzan stopped walking and looked at Aikido. His face was calm, his eyes gentle. There was no trace of defensiveness in his expression. He looked at his young, agitated student and said something that would echo through the ages. He said, "I left the woman there by the river hours ago. Are you still carrying her? Let that sink in for a moment. I left the woman there by the river. Are you still carrying her?" With that one simple question, Tanzan revealed the profound difference between them. Tanzan had acted out of pure compassion in the moment. He saw a person in need and helped them. His action was direct, selfless, and finished the moment it was done. Once he set the woman down, he also set down the entire event. He moved on, his mind clear and unburdened, fully present for the rest of his journey. Aikido, on the other hand, had done the right thing according to the rules. He hadn't touched the woman. But in his mind, he had been carrying her for hours. He was weighed down not by the woman herself, but by his judgment, his anger, his attachment to the rules, and his rigid ideas of right and wrong. He was the one who was truly burdened. The physical act of carrying was brief, but the mental act of carrying was a long, heavy, and self-inflicted torment. This story isn't just about two monks, it's about us. How many women by the river are we still carrying in our own minds? Think about it. That argument you had with a loved one last week, are you still carrying the anger and replaying the conversation? That mistake you made at work a month ago, are you still carrying the shame and embarrassment? That person who wronged you years ago, are you still carrying the grudge, letting it poison your present moment? These are our mental burdens. We cling to them, thinking that by holding on, we are somehow protecting ourselves or proving a point. But as Aikido's story shows, we are only hurting ourselves. We are the ones who suffer. The past is gone. It exists only in our memory. When we constantly dwell on it, we are choosing to live in a memory instead of in reality. We are dragging the weight of yesterday into the beauty of today. Letting go in the Zen sense doesn't mean condoning bad behavior or pretending that painful things didn't happen. It's not about forcing yourself to forget. It's about making a conscious choice to release your mental and emotional grip on the event. It's about understanding that the event is over, and the only thing keeping it alive and causing you pain right now is your own mind. It's about putting the woman down by the river. Tanzan's action was a perfect example of mindfulness and compassion in action. He wasn't attached to the rules. He was attached to the present moment and the reality of the situation. A person needed help. The rule was an abstract concept. The person's suffering was real. He chose compassion over dogma. This is a key lesson. Sometimes our rigid beliefs, our ideas of how things should be, are the very things that weigh us down the most. So, how can we start practicing this in our own lives? It starts with awareness. The first step is to simply notice what you are carrying. When you feel angry, anxious, or resentful, pause and ask yourself, what is the woman I am carrying right now? Identify the thought, the memory, the grudge. Acknowledge it without judgment. See it for what it is, a mental object you are holding on to. The next step is to make a conscious decision to put it down. You can do this through a simple mental exercise. Visualize yourself at that riverbank. See the thing you're holding on to, the anger, the regret, and then consciously, intentionally leave it there. Turn around and walk away, focusing your attention on the path ahead. Focus on your breath. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Come back to the present moment, just as Tanzan did. This is not a one-time fix. It's a practice. You will have to put the same woman down many times. The mind has a habit of going back and picking up old burdens, But every time you notice it and gently guide your attention back to the present, you are strengthening your letting go muscle. You are retraining your brain to live in the now. True freedom isn't about having a life free of problems. It is about having a mind that is free from the weight of those problems once they have passed. It's about learning to travel light. Tanzan was free. Aikido was a prisoner of his own mind. The choice is ours in every moment. What are you still carrying? And are you ready to put it down? Thank you for joining me on this little journey today. I hope this story gives you something valuable to think about. If it resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more content on philosophy and mindfulness. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What is one thing you're going to try and put down by the river this week? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.